Hello and welcome back to another interview on the Unstoppable Mumpreneurs Telesummit, where you can discover the habits, strategies, and insider secrets to overcoming any obstacle and earn an amazing income doing what you love. And as you've been listening to this series so far, you know, everything in the title and the tagline that follows has really borne evidence in the amazing lineup of women that we've had so far, telling us, sharing with us their life stories, their journeys from, you know, where they were in the corporate world into becoming a mompreneur, telling us about being a mom as well. Today is absolutely no different. We have another amazing expert with us. We are very, very blessed and fortunate to have her share her story with us, and I'm really looking forward to this. It's our second time around, so Daisy Swan, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Fantastic. I'm very happy that you can be here with us as well. Now I'll tell the audience a bit about yourself, Mary. Sorry, Daisy. Let's get that right, Daisy. Sorry about that. Daisy Swan has been a professional, personal and career coach and teacher for the past 25 years, helping clients to discover their most authentic way of living and working. Her book, Making Work Work, Secrets from a Career Coach's Office, was published in 2012. Known for her whole person coaching style, Daisy's qualifications include certifications as a life coach, a somatic coach, as well as significant training as a mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher, and years of mindful awareness meditation teaching as a teacher affiliated with the UCLA Mindful Awareness Research Center. A contributing writer to many local and national publications, including the Huffington Post, Christian Science Monitor, the New York Post, and Yahoo.com. She has also appeared on national TV and radio as a guest expert. Daisy has worked with thousands of clients from a wide variety of professional and creative fields, both one-to-one and in class settings, guiding clients to reconnect to themselves, their values and interests, to find new and fulfilling ways of living. A meditator for 35 years, Daisy regularly teaches mindful awareness meditation classes, helping people from all walks of life to find more peace, happiness, better sleep, memory, and an increased ability to focus. She earned her BA in English Literature at Loyola University in Chicago and her MA in Social Sciences at University of Chicago, and is a mother to a 20-year-old son. Originally from New York City, Daisy lived and worked in LA for 25 years. She works with clients from all over the world via Skype and phone. Loving to travel and meet people from all over the world, Daisy has also offered coaching and mindfulness at retreats in Greece with colleagues from England. For more information, please visit 21stcenturyattention.com and daisyswan.com. Daisy, thank you again and welcome for thank you for joining us and welcome to our Telesummit.
Yes, so happy.
Great. I'll hand it over to you to tell us, you know, about yourself, please.
Okay. Well, I would say, and looking back on my life, actually, I always felt I was such a late bloomer. Now I talk to people who feel like they're late bloomers all the time. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in my 20s. My family broke apart and there was a big messy divorce of my parents. And so I took time off from school and I worked in events and graphic design, and I learned a lot. But I went back to school when I was about 29. Okay. And for English Lit, I thought I wanted to be a high school teacher. And I then went on and got my master's degree, and that was an interdisciplinary program, which I love interdisciplinary thought. And so that was when I really realized I wanted to help people find their way. And when I graduated with my master's, I started working in the Career Center at University of Chicago, and that began this journey in the profession of careers.
Okay.
And so I made my way out to California and met my soon-to-be husband. I was 33 by then, and I worked in recruiting, so I really saw all facets of the career work. And then it wasn't until I was 38 almost 38 that my son was born.
Okay.
And I always wanted to be a mother. That was front and center for me. So once he was born, I was still working in a career center, but I knew I wanted to be home with him. So having my own business was definitely at the forefront of my mind from the very get-go that he was born.
Okay. Fantastic, fantastic. I am particularly pleased to hear you expand on that piece about late blooming, because I think, especially today, there are more and more of us, and I solidly include myself in the late blooming band. There are more and more of us in that. I don't particularly like pigeonholing, stereotyping, but in that group, for lack of a better word, for all sorts of reasons, career, just the way the dice have been rolled, life, really. I certainly am. You talk about having your son at 38, and I had my daughter at 44. So, and it's just one of those things, but I don't know if you feel this, Daisy. I know for me, once my daughter came along, and I was in a corporate job at the time, and I continued after she was born, with feeling an increasing sense of dissatisfaction, because your kids come along, whatever age you have your kids, and you revisit and review and question your values, and then you find that it's a lot of what you know and how you operated fall out of sync with where you now are as a mom, as a parent. So I hear you there. I certainly hear you there, and thank you for sharing that. Nice. I think this is the first insight and expansion really that we've had into late blooming. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing.
Well, I didn't feel very comfortable about it. I have to tell you, I always felt, and I hear this from my clients all the time.
Right.
I work with a lot of young women in their 30s, even people in their 40s. We're all sort of feeling like we're behind. Everybody's, sort of got this benchmark that they think they need to be at a certain point, right?
Right.
Sometimes people get, they push themselves into even getting married.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not 30 yet, I need to get married. Or, oh, I'm not 35 yet, I need to get married. Or I need, of course, we want to have our children oftentimes when we're younger, but, right, it doesn't always happen that way.
I hear you. Yes.
So, there's a lot of acceptance that goes with having a good life, or feeling good about yourself. So I work with clients on that too.
Fantastic. I certainly hear you, and there's a lot of pressure, I think, on women. I remember being in my 30s and being asked, well, aren't you a little bit worried about the biological clock? And very quite flippant back then, I would say, well, I can't hear it, can you? We get that. We certainly do get that quite a bit, unfortunately. But here we are. Lovely. So, starting out in your business, Daisy, early days, a mom, young child. What were some of the challenges that you faced those early days, and how did you overcome them?
Well, oh gosh, there were so many. I mean, I have actually one story where I went to, I was doing a consulting project for a school,
Mhm.
putting together a mentoring program
Mhm.
in Silicon Valley, and which is Northern California. And
Mhm.
I actually took my son, who was 3, I took him with me
Mhm.
because I didn't have childcare. And he stayed with a friend and went to school, to preschool with her daughter. But he had pink eye, which, you know, it's like having a very,
Mhm.
oh my God, it
Yeah.
was crazy. Anyway, that was one thing. But I would say in general, when I developed my website and really started to get out there
Mhm.
in a bigger way, the first time I sent out, and you know, this is 2003, so
Mhm.
we didn't have Facebook at that time to be
Right.
advertising on. We didn't have Snapchat and,
Mhm.
you know, Google Ads. There were
Yeah.
so many things you didn't have then. And so I had sent out an email blast, and I was petrified. My
Wow.
heart absolutely stopped when we hit send. And so I would say any of the firsts,
Hmm.
any of the times I rolled out, the first time I did a teleseminar was
Hmm.
petrifying. Um, Oh gosh, I started doing public programs where I would invite the public in to a panel event here in Los Angeles. And, you know, I didn't know, you get people to sign up, but who's really going to show up?
Hmm.
So each of those
Yes.
were just terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear
So
you.
those would be
Yes.
challenges.
The first.
And
Terrifying
then
and challenging.
afterwards, then I would think, oh my God, now I have to do this again.
And how was it the second time doing it again?
The second time was better.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yes.
the second time was better. I was like, okay, I know what I wanted to tweak from last
Yes.
time.
Yes.
You know, I can count on this, and this might go wrong, but this might go right. And then after that, you know, doing them again and again. Just
Absolutely. The power of repetition.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it's really, you know, I would say I pretty much live by the Eleanor Roosevelt quote, which is do something every day that
Yes.
scares you.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. And two great takeaways. Two great takeaways there in what you just said. You know, well, a couple more than two really. The first time is going to be scary. You know, the first time is definitely going to be scary, but don't stop at the
Right.
fear. Don't
Yeah.
stop at the fear. Push past it. Or as you know, woman who wrote "Feel the Fear,"
Feel the
Susan.
fear and do it
Do it
anyway.
anyway. That's it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Because you push past that fear, the second time is going to be that much easier, and the third that much easier, and so on. Yes,
Yeah.
I hear you there. Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
even now, so 2003 to now, so that's what, 13 years. Yeah, 13 years in business. That's a long time. It's a long
Yeah.
time.
I had been seeing clients on my own on the
Mhm.
side since 1995.
Okay.
While I was working, I was
Yeah.
seeing clients on the side, and I had been an affiliate of a woman who was a college counselor.
Yes.
And so she was helping young people get into college, and then I was helping them when they would get out and didn't know
Okay.
what to do. So
Okay.
that was, you know, so that networking piece is really important.
Yes.
You know,
Critical.
having affiliations with other people who want you to join up with them.
Yes, it is. It is actually because it's something I've said throughout this Telesummit is that we cannot do this work alone. We cannot thrive in our businesses
Yeah.
on our own. We cannot thrive in life or grow as a person on our own. At the end of the day, we know what we know. We have to reach out and we have to make those connections.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
really true.
yes, brilliant, brilliant. And now, that you are more established, I don't think I've asked you this yet, now that you're more established, what are some of the challenges that still come up for you? And how do you manage them?
Where do I start? I made some notes here. I think staying on top. I mean, now, you know, as I said, when I first started, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have LinkedIn. You know, now there's just so many places we have to be exposed, you know, or we can use for exposure. So I think staying on top of everything is challenging for sure. It's definitely you know, the juggle of all of the places to be found can be a challenge.
And is that social media related? Yes.
Yeah. Social media.
To social media. And how do you manage that? How do you stay on top of, or can you stay on top of everything?
Thank you for that question. Can one stay on top of it? Well, I think it takes what you were just saying, it takes support.
Yeah.
So hiring people to help. I've had a virtual assistant virtually throughout my work.
Okay.
Since 2003, I've had a virtual assistant, and honestly, I'm still like trying different things out, still looking for the right magic for social media. And I think this is one of the things that's this issue with social media and exposure. I revisit my thoughts about it on a pretty regular basis, quite honestly, because I have friends who help a lot of people who they don't get their clients through social media.
That's right. Exactly right.
They have their clients coming to them through their personal network.
Yes.
So, and I've been here in Los Angeles, which is a big city. I would say right now my clients are probably 50-50 new clients to referrals from old sources, and lots of repeat clients coming in. So establishing good ties in the community has really been so important for me.
Yes.
So I try not to get too wrapped up in the social media blur, but then again, sometimes they do, and it's hard.
And it's hard. It is hard, you know. I remember one expert we've had on so far, and she addressed the issue of social media, and she spoke to that piece that is quite difficult actually for a lot of us mumpreneurs. As you said, there is just so much at large in terms of social media platforms. Which one do we select? And I think it's a selection of in terms of what fits for you. And I think she so beautifully said, Steph, where your people are as well. So as you said, it's juggling that and trying to find, what that is for you. So I hear you there. I certainly do. Yeah.
But it's interesting, like just along that topic of how people find you. I'm very passionate about mindfulness.
Yes.
And I feel like I kind of came out of the closet about being a mindfulness person when there was so much more interest in it during the downturn in 2009 and 10. All of the unraveling of our financial stability in the world. I had so many clients who were nervous and anxious because they were losing jobs and salaries were going down. And so I started talking to people about mindfulness. Anyway, now it's out there.
Yes.
Everybody's concerned about being more present and being able to manage their minds. And I just put out, I'm living in a new community here now in Los Angeles, and I put out that I would like to offer a meditation in the community. And all of these people said they were interested. I did it on a Facebook post, actually. And so all that to say that our networks can work for us and we can work for them.
Yes, both ways, isn't it?
Right. And sometimes it's just really from a sense of generosity and developing those relationships.
I hear you there too. Oh, good. Wonderful. So, my next question for you, Daisy. What's the number one obstacle that you see holding most mompreneurs back, and what advice would you give to them to help them overcome that number one obstacle?
Well, fundamentally, our biggest obstacle, of course, is always ourselves.
Okay. Getting in our own way?
It's so, I think the human condition. It's what we do. We doubt ourselves. We have so many ways of justifying not taking action. And, certainly I fall prey to that myself. And then I, have to talk to myself and say, well, no, go forward, do it. Like I said, do something that scares you every day. I mean, it's, so I think there's that component, which is huge, of being afraid and stopping ourselves. But I think also it's so important to feel supported. And so that's where having friends, colleagues, an association, something like this program, where you can feel like I'm not out there all by myself. I really am a part of something bigger. So feeling supported is an obstacle, I think. Not feeling supported.
I certainly agree with you there. And I think especially because life as a mompreneur can be very lonely. You're working at home for the most part, most of us, when we do, and you have to make that effort to
absolutely
reach out and connect with people outside. It's not like that busy office setting anymore, So yes, it can get lonely, and that support is. I can't stress enough the importance. Yeah, you as well.
Yeah, years ago, we had an association of mentors and coaches in Los Angeles, and I used to go to that, every month. I did a lot more networking when I was just getting going, and certainly my son was younger, but I made myself get out there. And at that point, I had more going on at home. I was entertaining more. He was younger. We had the baseball team over or whatever. But now that I am an empty nester, I have to push myself even harder to get out because I don't have him at home. I have to really work hard to find that support and meet more people and keep things.
But you do it.
I do. And last night I actually went to an improv class.
Okay.
Improvisation. So yes, it's like always finding something to get the juices flowing.
Fantastic. Good on you. All right. Do you believe, and this is a question to which I've been getting some very interesting responses. Do you believe, Daisy, that anyone or any mom can become a successful entrepreneur?
Well, I'm always wary of that word successful. So
I should say, sorry, holistically. You're right. I am too, and I do like to say holistically successful.
Yeah. I think that anyone can actually, if you want to do it,
Mm.
anyone can do it. I also think a lot of people think it's easier than it is.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, yes, the internet gives us a lot of opportunity. And that's what so many people are utilizing, right? But it's a lot of work.
Yes.
Starting your own business gives you a lot of flexibility, and it gives you a lot of opportunity to create things, having your own thing, right? And as I used to say to my son when he was younger, freedom also comes with responsibility.
It certainly does.
And so we have a lot to do. So it does mean that you put your time towards it, and you find the right support, and also managing your expectations. I have to say, when I first was getting going, because my son was younger, I didn't have high expectations for myself, for my earning. But what I saw, I set my expectations lower, and then I could see how things grew. So, my income grew by 30% every year.
Okay.
And so I was really happy to see that, because as I went along and my son got older and I had more time, so I just think it's really important to manage your expectations.
Manage expectations. Well, that's a new piece. That's a new piece, and I think a very important piece as well. Especially since I know I've been the conversations we've had so far on the summit. That piece comes up on this question, and it's the bit about it is work. There is so much out there that can make us believe that it's easy. You're guaranteed to make money in your sleep. You can make money in your sleep, but that's at a certain stage in your business and having certain systems in place. But sometimes the messages conveyed can make one think that is something that you can achieve from the get-go or shortly thereafter.
Exactly.
And no, that is
No.
not so at all. This is
No, it's not, and I think that's it is really a disservice, and it's very confusing. I know that you know this from having your own business. It's confusing to know who to reach out to.
Yes.
As a coach, or as a social, there's all these SEO places, and I mean, there's so many service providers who want to be of service to you, and to really know who to choose and who's really going to serve you so that you get what you want. It's confusing, and that's a big, making so many decisions. That's a big part of having your own business.
It is.
And that's why you need the support, I think.
Absolutely. And people to bounce ideas off of, and be humble enough to reach out, ask questions, and take advice on board. I would say something about the take advice, though. And please tell me how you feel about this. It's being very careful who you take advice from.
Yes.
We step into business as women, and everybody thinks it's open season to give you advice. My thing is to take advice from people who have achieved what you are working towards achieving, people who have been there, done that, have had the experience, and can guide you, and give you feedback and advice based on experience and know-how.
Yeah, that's true. And things are always changing.
It's always changing, indeed.
So what that means, I mean, yes, I'm going to add on to what you just said.
Please do.
When I was getting started, I was a colleague to a woman who had been a very successful career counselor in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
Great reputation, around for a long time. I had worked with her, and I came to her and said, let's work to, let's join up and we can add this much more. And she was quite certain that the way she did things was the way to do things.
Mm.
And she wasn't open-minded to what I was bringing to the table. So then I went home and I was just devastated. And I thought, she's saying the only way I can do what I want to do is to do it her way.
Mm.
And so I really had to be with myself and think about, what do I really want to create and how do I want it to be?
Mm.
And so I went about doing it my way.
There you go. And there has to be room for that. I totally
So
agree. There has to be room for that.
Yeah, you really have to listen to what lights you up.
Yes.
What's really your way. A lot of
Yes.
people had told me, no, you really, 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 really have to niche down and, over and over. And I just
that.
didn't.
Yep.
And so I came up with what I saw were these 4 life stages. And I work with people who are, from their early 20s to their 60s.
Yeah.
And that's how I've made my living.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be done. It can be done. So I certainly hear you, and thank you for adding that piece, because it is important at the end of the day, regardless of who the advice is coming from,
Right.
to make sure it speaks to you.
Yeah.
And leave enough flexibility in there to say, it sounds good, but perhaps not exactly the way I would like to go about things. So totally take that on board. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Great. So the piece about life balance or blend.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are you on that?
I'm definitely a blender. I'm a life blend person.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't know how. Well, I mean, with how connected we are to our new appendage, our phone, walking around with that little computer close at hand all the time, I think, it makes it so much easier to have a blended life so that you can be with your family and you can be doing your work. I mean, I would be on vacations and my assistant and I would be emailing or having a call, and she'd be sending out a newsletter, and so, which is wonderful, to be able to have that flexibility. When I was working in an office, I will admit, I always felt like work was getting in the way of my life. So, so now I'm happy to be able to blend it.
Yes, yeah. I think it sort of preserves our sanity more when life is more of a blend than when we try to compartmentalize it and try to arrive at this perfect balance. There's precious little that's in balance, really. So
and it does require, right, with, I think this is what we're talking about all the way through. It does require the ability to also turn off the phone, or maybe not turn it off, but take some time where you say, I'm off.
Yes.
And I am definitely guilty of, being on my computer well into the night, writing articles or communicating with clients. I would have friends who would say, oh my God, do you ever stop? I mean, there were years there.
Daisy, I won't say anything about being up early here in the UK and getting an email from you in LA, and I'm wondering, what time is it? Is she going to go to bed? But no, it can be like that. It can be like that at times. And I think I'd like to add a piece here for our listeners, especially as us as women. We do need our sleep. We can go so far. We can, and putting together this Telesummit, I have at times been sleep deprived because I'm trying to juggle meetings and interview calls from being 4 a.m. in the morning, depending on where someone is in the world.
Yeah.
So, but there is that. But I'm an early riser. 4 a.m. in the morning means I'm getting up an hour earlier. I'm up at 5. So, but I try to get to bed at a decent time. I do try that. Yeah.
But the beauty, I mean, the reason this is, right, is because, like, let's say I'm answering emails or working on something later in the evening. That's because I took out 2 hours and went to this new class last night, and I was able to have lunch with a friend yesterday. I mean, so that's obviously one of the reasons we choose this kind of lifestyle. So we have that kind of flexibility.
And, I mean, I have said in a previous interview that I'm still working and doing my business as well. And I did want that to be conveyed, because there are a lot of mompreneurs who are starting and, kind of juggling their businesses on the side as well. And it is a phase.
Yeah.
There comes a time when we make that transition. But I also wanted to let mompreneurs know that is okay. It is okay. All right, wonderful. What impact do you think being a mompreneur has had on your son, Daisy?
Well, I'm a big fan of my son. Big surprise.
Of course.
He's very entrepreneurial.
Oh, excellent.
So I think that he completely takes for granted that he had a mom who was around all the time. He doesn't know what it's like. I mean, I was around, I was working on my things, so he, I think that he only knows what it's like to be in charge of your own life. You know what I mean? So, like, I think the impact on him is that I think for him to actually go to a job in an office and do that from 8 to 7 or something like that, which is what a lot of people do. It would have to be really fantastic, fascinating work for him to be willing to do that. Yes. So I definitely think that he will be an entrepreneur, and I think that's what he's planning on.
And similar things have come up with the mompreneur experts that we've spoken with so far. And I think the overriding theme there is that our kids seeing what we do, it opens up that realm of choice for them. That the academic route and then into career, the corporate career, isn't the only choice available to you. It's perfectly and equally fine to answer, that entrepreneurial calling, if that's what it is for you. So I hear you there.
Yeah, and in fact, I mean, I and his dad have told him that if he takes longer to complete his degree, which of course we want him to do, but he's already taken out a semester to work. And we've also encouraged him to get other kinds of education that would enable him to do other things. And so to me, education is such a fluid thing. Certainly experiencing my education the way I did.
There we go. Absolutely.
A non-traditional path is an okay path.
Absolutely. And, our concept of education is far more versatile than we actually think it is. And many of us have been brought up to think it is. So, good stuff. So, we're down to the final one. What would you say is your number one habit, or the number one habit, the number one strategy, and the number one insider secret that has enabled you to enjoy the success that you now enjoy?
Well, I think I really spent a lot of time thinking about this. I think the number one thing for me, the number one habit is I check in with myself regularly. Am I on course? Am I doing the things that really matter to me. I check in with my values a lot, because when I'm really honest with myself about what's important, I come up with new ways of offering what I do. And so I'm always pushing into new areas because that's what keeps me alive in terms of my work. Does that make sense?
It does. It certainly does. Yes.
Okay. And then, and just really listening. And then I think the strategy, I was really thinking about that. I guess networking for that support, I think that's really, so the support and also listening to your audience.
Yes.
So you know what people need, because that also is changing all the time. And I am a very intuitive person, and my work feeds that intuition, and I use my intuition a lot. So I feel like I'm reading the zeitgeist of what's happening in the world of my clients, and so that's how I know what I need to offer.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
And then also the last piece would be, my insider secret, I suppose, is don't do what you're not good at. So, outsource.
Yes.
Have a virtual assistant or have a bookkeeper. Don't try and do everything. We're not all good at everything.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Thank you for sharing that. Fantastic. Fantastic. Really some, again, wonderful, wonderful nuggets shared here. Totally get where you're coming from. And thank you so much for sharing them. That sort of brings us very nicely to the end of our interview. And I've really enjoyed this, Stacey. Really, really enjoyed all you've had to share. Very, very inspiring, very real. Yes, very valuable. So, can you tell our listeners, please, about your free gift offer?
Yeah, I'm excited to offer. So, I have my ebook, which is Making Work Work. It's from a career coach's office, and so that is my gift to everyone here. So there is a link, which I guess will be on the site.
Yes, it will be. Yes.
Which is it's at my website, daisyswan.com. And then there's a /career/coaching. So it's a longer link, but I have a shorter link, which I can
say.
Yes. Well, so
be there.
Yeah, so it's bit.ly, so that's BIT, B as in boy, I, T as in Tom, .ly /Mums Summit.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Great.
So,
making work. All right. Great. So that URL, that link is going to be there so that moms listening can go in there. You have to sign up and get it's an entire ebook, yes?
Yeah, that is my book. A real labor of love, and it's really about how I work with clients, and it gives the stories of the different clients I've worked with and at the different life stages, and lots of exercises to do. And
amazing. Great stuff. So there is something in there for mompreneurs across the life stage spectrum.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. And the exercises, I'm sure, would be helpful.
Lots of good exercises.
Brilliant. That's very generous of you. Thank you. I do appreciate that, and I'm sure moms listening will as well. Great. All right. Well, I will be sure to put up that link so you can go in there and get that book for even more juicy nuggets from Daisy. Really, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we are going to wrap up this session, as wonderful as it's been, and I'd like to thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your experience and everything that you've imparted here with our audience. Thank you very much, Daisy. All right,
Okay.
take care now. Bye for now.
Okay.